Okay, you guys, why Young Living? This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and a lot of the reason is just because when I first got started, it was so important to me to figure out what I was putting on my body, what I was putting in my body, and then when it started branching out into my kiddos, then I was really concerned because I wanted to know what it was, which is funny to me now because we have no clue what's in medication and we pick scripts up from the pharmacy and we give them to our children and we take them and we have no idea what's in them. And so it's funny to me now a little bit, but at the time it was really important and it still is really important. But now, knowing what I know, I wouldn't have ever hesitated researching. I would have just dove in with Young Living. But at the time I researched and I wanted to know what it was that I was using. There is a ton of different essential oil companies out there. There are different ways that they distill. There are different ways that they farm, and there are different ways that they have integrity over what they're doing with their oils. And so kind of through my research, and then now after being, almost 5 years into doing this, it has been shown to me over and over again that I made the right choice. And one of the best ways to describe that is through the Seed to Seal promise. So when Gary Young started Young Living, 25, 30 years ago when he first started, it was super, super important to him to keep the purity of the oil and to always keep it consistent and reaching that bar of what was going to be the most therapeutic. And so they're just not just to smell good. And so at first, a lot of people think that. They're like, oh, but don't I just put it in my diffuser and it makes my room smell nice? Well, sure. That happens. Currently, I have peppermint in there, and peppermint I put in there because it is like really early in the morning and I'm still waking up, and just to kind of give me a little boost of energy. There are reasons, therapeutic wise, my brain wise, that I'm choosing the oils that I'm choosing and putting them into my diffuser. So we want to make sure that the therapeutic levels, the constituents, are being met at the line that should be appropriate and should be the best for our bodies. So oils can say 100% pure on them. Any other bottle will say 100% pure, and it only is required to have 5% of the actual plant in there. This is a problem. This is a problem for many reasons. Number one, they are using chemicals to distill the plants. So when the plants are put into this big vat, it's like this, well, in the United States, they're round. I just got back from France, went to the farms there, and they're like this big rectangle. Almost looks like sounds terrible, like a trash compactor. We literally climb the ladder and look inside of it. It's obviously not a trash compactor, but it has that big feel to it, this big vat, okay? So it is being filled with all of the plants, okay? They're using what? Steam. They're using steam to pull the oil from the plant. They're not using chemicals to pull it from the plant, which is so, so, so important. So when they say 100% pure on it, there's no regulation on the industry. So they're allowed to say that, which is so frustrating because they are not, and they are completely misleading all of us. So when we see on the shelves in Target, you guys, I just went to the dollar spot, and there's all this cute, fresh, clean stuff. So I got this. They're super cute. I just happen to have it sitting here. And right next to it is oils. It's like eucalyptus and lemon, and they're in the dollar spot for $1. Okay, if you are distilling it correctly, if you are farming it correctly, if you're gonna have any benefit from it other than a chemical smell, then it's gonna be more expensive. It's just, that's how it's gonna be. Our bottle of lemon is $11. It's not $1. So thinking through kind of just use like what you know. Like there is truth to that. If you see it and it's $1, it's at Bed Bath and Beyond, or there's other places on Amazon and all over that are going to have oils that are not going to be good for you. So do your research. That's all I ask. Our farms have an open door policy. You can walk in at any time. You can see what they're doing. You can watch the process. My recent trip to Europe that I spent going over to France and meeting with the head. Nicholas is the head of all of the European farm and distilling process. He actually took his day and met us over there and shared with us a ton of information that is absolutely incredible. And part of that is that it starts at the beginning. It starts when you're planting. Where are the fields that your plants for your oils that you're using are being planted in? Are they in a previous farm field that had, chemicals that they were using to grow the plants? What were they using? What was being farmed there before? Young Living chooses to only have land that's never previously been farmed on, so that they have the chance to start from scratch and make sure it's the best and healthiest it's going to be, so that there's no pesticides in it and traces of chemicals that would be left in it for our plants that go into our oils. So there's also what's called a population plant. So in the lavender fields, for example, the population plant is when we're a whole bunch of different people. We're made up. We're a population. When a mommy and daddy come together, we make a baby. This is how Nicholas kind of shared it with us. All those babies that we make when we come together are different. They're different. We make up a whole population in the world. The same is true for a plant. If you take the same exact, the plant, if you cut off like a piece of the plant, or you have a seed from the same plant and you replant it, that's a clone plant. And then you're losing the ability to have the best case scenario. So what Young Living does, number one, there's weeds all through their fields. So when you see the pretty lavender picture fields, they're taking a picture at the field next door, because that isn't what Young Living's fields always look like. There's usually weeds all throughout it because they don't kill them with pesticides. They let them grow in there. And that's good for us. Also means that those plants, when they're a population plant and not a clone, will all look different. They're going to be different sizes. They're going to be big and small, and some flower, a lavender plant will flower white. So they're totally different and totally unique, which means when they come all together and they're put in that vat, then we're having all the different constituents from the different plants and pulling those out via steam to bring forth the true nature of what God intended when He chose to put the oils in to put this lifeblood in the plant. So I know I'm going on. I could go on and on and on about this. I'm super passionate about it. It's important to know where they come from. Make sure that if the company that you're using, or if you know somebody that's using someone or another oil that isn't the best it can be, it actually can be harmful. I have smelt another brand that's pretty rival to us. Their peppermint actually smells a little bit more like peppermint candy, where ours smells like a peppermint leaf. Are your oils smelling like a plant, or are they smelling like a candy? There's a difference. So know what it is. Know that Young Living Seed to Seal promise is, hey, if it's best to distill at midnight on a full moon in October to get the premium part of the plant where we're going to have the most therapeutic benefits from it and the most constituents from it, then that's when Young Living's doing it. So they are very passionate about this. It is what sets us apart. So keep all of those things in mind. Super, super important. So sorry, I went probably a little too long, but I could go on and on about this forever. So why Young Living? Seed to Seal. That's the main gist. Okay, enjoy the rest of the class. Bye, guys.